The midterm elections are just under 3 weeks away. Have you been paying attention to all the races and initiatives on the upcoming ballot? We will not judge you if not, because we have Seattle U political science professor Marco Lowe here, and he's here to keep us updated and make sure that we do understand some things.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. And as a professor, you're going to be able to dumb this down a little bit for everybody, right?
I'll do my best.
You're going to do your best. So we're going to start with the 8th district race, Dino Rossi versus Kim Schreier.
Absolutely.
So tell me about this.
It's a contested seat. It has been a swing seat. I ran a race in '04 in that seat, even when Dave Ross ran. So I know the seat pretty well. It has expanded a little bit, and I think it was made a little more Republican-leaning in the last redistricting, but this is a neck-and-neck race. We had a poll that went on during the Kavanaugh hearings, and we saw a real Republican spike that seems to have maybe tailed off. So if that race is 50-50, nobody would be surprised. It's going to be close.
Now, after 2016, how much are we relying on polls these days, since they didn't seem to be quite right?
I was very surprised on election night in 2016, as were many people. However, even election night was within the margin of error. And it's hard to remember that, but it was, they were 4 or 5 points apart from each other, and that's what happened that night in the margins. But this race, within the margin of error, again, they are right on top of each other.
They are. And so anything could happen.
Anything could happen, absolutely. The seat did carry Hillary Clinton in 2016, which many people forget.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, and then we also have Seattle Family and Education Levy.
This 28 years of this levy, it funds from children going to pre-K, particularly homeless families, getting their children into some pre-K that helps them get ready for kindergarten, education and healthcare through K-12, and then the new mayor's program, Mayor Durkin, to let children of Seattle public schools that qualify to go for free to community college in Seattle.
This is a levy that already exists, and we're just keeping it going if you vote yes for it, is what you're telling me.
Exactly. It's larger than the last one, but it is a continuation since 1990.
And what are the people for it saying?
Well, it's supposed to narrow the equity gap so that children from poorer families can start to perform the way the children from wealthier families do and have greater outcomes in their career. It's also the first time we're looking at helping kids go to college for free. Okay,
and then the people who are against it say...
It's a doubling. It's very expensive. Property taxes are already high in the city of Seattle. There's some fear that there's a hangover from the head tax from earlier this year that may lead to no votes on this measure as well.
Okay, so that one's good to know. And Initiative 1631. Now, this is where people get maybe even more confused because you're attaching numbers.
Absolutely.
And this is taxes and environment.
So this is in essence a carbon tax in the state of Washington. $15 per ton that would go up $2 a year until the state reaches its climate goals. And in essence, we're seeing it as a 14 cents on each gallon for tax, but some families have electric or hybrid. Some families live closer to work or school, so it just will vary family to family. But we saw the UN report last week that we have
frightening.
Exactly. We have 12 years to act before there are unstoppable changes to the earth from climate change. So supporters of this feel like this is a timely moment in Washington state history to have a vote.
And where does the money go to? The 14 cents extra, where does that
There is a committee that the opponents will tell you is unelected, but it is appointed, and many committees in this state are appointed, and you try to get experts in there, and there's 3 tranches of where the money is going. 1/3 is going to be going to, in essence, green energy, wind, solar, jobs in the state of Washington to lower carbon even further. There's another 1/3 for enhancing water and forestry, and then 1/3 is for investing in communities that might be struggling.
Okay, so mostly for the environment, and then also for some communities for just some help out there.
Yes.
And that's where the 14 cents more will go.
And natural gas is being taxed as well, but most of the discussion has been about the gas tax.
Okay, so now Initiative 1634 is food and agriculture and taxes.
It's the soda tax.
We have a theme. Oh, this is the soda tax.
This is the soda tax.
That's such an easier thing to say.
It is. It is.
I thought this already happened. I'm so confused by this.
Seattle passed a soda tax with about 1.8 cents per ounce. So a 2-liter bottle would get up into like $1.60 or something like that. And the soda companies, let's just say, did not like it. So to repeal it, they didn't know if they could do it within the city of Seattle's own initiative process. So they ran something statewide to both repeal it in Seattle and make sure no other city does it again.
Okay, so this is, if you vote for it, you're saying we don't want it.
Correct.
Okay, because that's also a confusing part of these initiatives.
It's not polling great, which surprised me because the soda companies have about $13 million into this thing statewide, and I would think it'd be a runaway, but they're behind right now.
They are, and this is something where finally Coca-Cola and Pepsi are working together. Yeah. They're on the same team.
When it's against the city of Seattle, I guess you can make some friends.
Okay, and then we've got Initiative 1639, firearms.
We do. So this is, in essence, raising to 21 the ability to buy a semi-automatic rifle.
And what is it at now?
18.
Okay.
I mean, some of the horrific events are legal teenage purchasers that went out and bought a gun that day and then did what they did. So it would also do a 10-day waiting period, and then you would also have a, you'd have to have a background check and training. So it would require all of that. And then everybody, not just the under 20, not just over 21-year-olds, have to now store guns safely in their homes, and that's also required by this law.
And this isn't something where you're talking about hunting rifles or going hunting with your dad. This is talking about semi-automatic weapons.
And they define semi-automatic. This is not a bolt-action deer hunting rifle. This is, in most cases, weapons that were meant to kill human beings.
And where do people get confused on this one? Like, why, when they vote for it, do they think that their gun rights are being taken away, for example? I mean, does that happen with this one?
This nation has had an incredibly energized discussion of the Second Amendment for the last half century, and I think both parties have used the issue to turn out their bases. This is currently polling above 60%. It is far and away the most popular thing on the ballot per a recent cross-cut poll. And I don't see it getting turned back at the poll. But people are upset about it.
And you're a professor, so I mean, these are your students that this is going to be affect. Do you hear from anybody like, oh no, I really want to go buy a semi-automatic rifle at 19 and I'm mad that I can't, or may not be able to if this passes?
I do master's students, so they're all
they're
kind
older.
of 20s and older. But on campus, at least, I haven't seen at Seattle University a huge pushback against this measure. The soda tax may have people more upset.
Yeah. Well, you got to keep something to keep them awake all night.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And the college students, they're not made of money, that's for sure. And then the midterm results, what will be the impact on a national scale?
Well, right now, at the national level, the House, the Senate, and the White House are all under Republican control. The House does not have a huge majority.
We got a map right here.
And current polling would tell you that there's a very good chance the Democrats will take back the House. The Senate is more of a jump. They've got to win some states that are tough.
That's the Senate map.
Yes. That said, we have a Democratic senator in Alabama right now. The race that everybody's looking at is Texas, where we have Beto O'Rourke versus Ted Cruz, who's the seated U.S. senator. And that race, you are seeing Ted pull away a little bit, but Beto O'Rourke just raised $30 million in the last quarter, so it's going to be a close race.
Yeah, I have family in Texas, and it's heated down there.
It is amazing. It's going to be a very quiet Thanksgiving.
Have you seen this type of passion for midterm elections ever before? You know,
when you see waves, so we saw a wave in 2010 right after President Obama won, reaction to the Affordable Care Act and other things. You saw that wave for the Republicans. In 1982, the Democrats, interesting enough, following the Clarence Thomas hearings, you saw a huge, it was the year of the woman, and we saw U.S. Senator Patty Murray elected for the first time. And that was a huge Democratic wave that took over that year as well. There's a potential for that here.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all this and for making it make sense to us. And remember, King 5 is televising tonight's live debate between the two candidates for Washington's 8th District, Dina Rossi and Kim Schreier. It'll be co-moderated by King 5's political reporter, Natalie Brand. And that's tonight at 7 o'clock right here on King 5. And we will be right back right now. Thank you.
Now is the time.